All right. So first off, everything that I'm demoing here is thanks to the PayPal team, in particular, Mendra, who kind of led this effort, pushed it through, wrote the RFCs, built out the code for it, all of that. So huge thank you to Mendra and team. So what happens in a lot of DataHub users' journey is they'll show up to DataHub, they'll search for something, they'll find what they're looking for. It has high usage, it has all, it has ownership, it has the lineage that they were expecting. It looks like the perfect thing. And the very next questions they're going to ask are, okay, do I actually have access to this thing? Can I query it or not? If I don't have access to it, what roles do I need to get in order to get access to that? Or what permissions do I need? And finally, who do I talk to or where do I go to actually make those requests? And this is very important for folks to kind of complete the usability story for data. You don't just want to find it, you also want to then make use of it. And so requesting access for data is that very next step. So in general, the way access is structured in a number of different systems is around roles. Roles will have a list of associated permissions. For example, you might have a viewer, an editor, and an owner. And in a database system, the viewer might be able to, list schemas and view metadata for certain tables and read the data. But only an editor is able to, make updates, and only the owner is able to maybe tweak the row level access policies or things like that. Now, the mapping for roles to users and from roles to data sets kind of varies across systems. In simpler systems like Snowflake, roles are directly tied to entities, and users are directly granted roles. In more complex IAM systems, you have an intermediate layer of policies that serve as this binding layer between a role and a set of users and the entities or the resources that it applies to. And I have some examples there for how you can think about these. So when we were modeling, next slide, when we were modeling it, we made some simplifying assumptions here, specifically that roles just have a static list of users that are granted the role, and data sets have a static list of roles that apply. And these are initial assumptions that we can make so that we can start presenting something useful in the DataHub UI. And just to make sure I'm clear here, this is all about representing permissions of external systems within DataHub and is distinct from the internal role and policy system that DataHub uses internally for determining if you have access to view a given data set within DataHub. So with that, maybe we can run through a quick demo of what this actually looks like and how we use it. All right. So I have some example commands that we can use to push metadata around roles and access into DataHub. So first, we have two commands to set up the roles. I have a revenue ops writer and a revenue ops reader, and I have associated descriptions with each of these. Then I am the DataHub user, and I'm simply adding myself to the list of users that have access to the revenue ops reader role. And finally, I'm annotating a specific Snowflake data set to say that these roles would grant access to this data set. And so now, if we go to the UI, oops, I thought I had this loaded up. And we find this thing. go over to the new access management tab. This is opt-in. You have to enable it with a specific feature flag. But once it's enabled, we'll see these are the roles that we need to see. We see that I already have read access. And for write access, we have this request button. So if we go back to the commands that we ran, we can associate a request URL with each role. And this basically tells people, where do we go to get access to this role or get granted this role? And so then if I hit request, we'll see that it opens up and goes to the URL that I linked to. Great. So this is just the beginning. What's next is figuring out how to model external policies in addition to roles, and then making this a little bit more automated by pulling this information from external systems like BigQuery or Snowflake, so that you don't actually have to push the metadata in, as I did in this demo, but actually it just shows up automatically. So stay tuned for more. Once again, huge shout out to the PayPal team who actually drove the contribution around this.